Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MaWSIG podcast, the show where we explore the journeys of educators who have taken their passion beyond the classroom. My name is Marcos Mendonça. I'm your host, and today I have a very special guest with me, Cintia Zaitune. Cintia is an experienced English teacher who has successfully transitioned into English teaching materials, into writing English teaching materials. Hi, Cintia, how are you?
Hi, Marcos. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm fine. How about you?
I'm okay. Thank you very much. Well, I thank you for accepting my invitation. So, Cintia, let's start at the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about your teaching background, your professional background?
Sure. Well, to begin with, I have to say I didn't become a teacher by chance. I always wanted to be a teacher of English since I was a teenager. And because of that, I studied language and literature at school. And I had the chance to go to the United States to study as well. And when I came back, I started teaching when I was 19 years old. And I taught English, in a row for 18 years, okay? And as I was a teacher, I always worked as a teacher trainer as well, okay? Since the beginning, I worked as a teacher trainer. And then I worked as a materials designer and a coordinator at schools. But at that time, I worked just with supplementary materials, right? And tests, assessments, this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Then I worked, as I said, as a coordinator at schools, and I worked for two big franchisors in Minas Gerais. And there, as a teacher trainer, I worked also with writing materials such as teacher's guides, okay?
Oh, nice.
And then in one of these franchisors, I had a chance to meet lots of consultants from publishing houses, okay?
Yes.
And that's how I transitioned to being a consultant myself. So I became a consultant, a pedagogical consultant for a publishing house. And I worked in this publishing house for many years. And there I had a chance to travel, let's say, to move to different areas, okay? Such as the commercial area, the marketing area, publishing. So I was an editor at this place. And later on, I was a writer, not for them. I mean, recently, I have been a writer for them, But anyway, so then when I left this company, I worked as an editor, okay, for different publishing houses as a freelancer. I went back to teaching because it's a passion, right? And now I have been working with teacher training and as a writer, as you said, right? So basically, very, very quickly, this is my my career, let's say.
Yeah, and it's really nice because you have a lot of experience and you bring all that to your materials writing, right? For sure.
Sure.
And how do you think your teaching experience influence your approach to creating educational materials? How do you see that? How do you see this influence when you're writing?
It has essential, let's say, how can I say? It affects it totally, okay?
Yeah.
Because what do I keep in mind all the time? When I'm writing, I always think of myself as a teacher.
Yes.
So I think of the students who are going to use that material, and I think of the teachers that are going to use the material. And I think of the classroom background as well, right? The context. So it's really important to know this, to have this feel, to have this feeling, to see, to know what goes on in the classroom so that you can write better, I think.
No, I totally agree with you. And that's what teachers usually say, right? They complain when they have a book and they say, well, has this author ever walked into a classroom? Because it seems that he or she hasn't, right? And that's why what you said is very, very important, because when you are a teacher, you have experience, you know what goes on in the classroom, you know what students need, and you think about everything, right? You think about group work. Will this activity work in small groups, big groups, pairs, individually? And we can only do that if we have experienced that firsthand, right? So that's why I think this experience of teaching is extremely important. And teachers who get to use the books, they see that. They see, this person knows the classroom. This person knows what works in the classroom, right? Cintia, tell us a little bit about your creative process. So when you sit down to write something, of course, we have a briefing that we have to read and all that, right? But when you sit down and you start creating activities, for example, what is your creative process? Like, is there a pattern for you? Do you have to take notes? Do you do a lot of research online? How does that work?
I do work online. Like I try to look at the books I have, okay? Because sometimes it is an age that you are not so familiar with.
Yes.
Because of course, you have not worked with all ages or all backgrounds, right? So I study this. I research a lot about the background, the kind of school. So I like to take the briefing very seriously, let's say. So I have to think of the context. Where will this class take place? Is it a private school? Is it a public school? Is it a private language school?
Yes.
Who are these students? Are they very rich students? Are they like, I'm not talking about money here, okay? But are they people who have studied English their whole life? Or are they students who have not been in this context of English-speaking situations very often?
Yes.
Right.
And when you mention public and private schools, I always think about resources. Like, what resources do students have available to them, right? I think that's important too.
I think you froze a little bit to me.
All right, you too, no problem. So when you mention public schools and private schools, I always think about the resources they have available to students. And we know that it's different. Right? So, and when you're writing materials, you have to think, I want students to use a computer, but do they have access to a computer?
Exactly.
Right? We always have to think about that.
And then something else. I try to brainstorm by myself. I love this word. I love brainstorming. So I write down lots of ideas. And I like to write them down on paper, not on the computer. First, I make notes, I take notes and I write all my ideas. And then I think of which ideas are more suitable for that lesson, for that unit, so that they make sense as a sequence, for example. If it's a unit, I like to think of the lessons, all of them, before I start writing the first one, for instance. The same thing with a unit itself, right? I mean, I talked about a unit, not a book, right? But for instance, a unit, I'll think about all the lessons before I start writing the first one,
I
think it's important to have an overview.
Yeah, you think about the unit as a whole, and then you break it down into lessons, right?
Right.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's very important, because I think you don't get lost this way, right?
Right.
And Cintia, what common mistakes or maybe challenges did you have to face when you started writing materials? Things that you say, I was not very good at that. I had to fix these things. I used to think like this, and now with much more experience, I've changed my mind. So what were the challenges that you had to face when you started writing materials?
I think I had an advantage because I worked as an editor before, right?
Oh, for sure. Yes.
So,
You
but
have
I
you
can
have
tell
a
you,
different view. It's like, yeah,
yeah. But what I can say is that it's important to have uh, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the designer as well.
mm,
I think this is important because
yeah,
we, as writers of content, we sometimes forget about design, or we just think everything is possible concerning design. But it's
yes,
not like that. We have to see how much the publishing house is going to invest on design. Are they going to use illustrations? Are they going to use pictures like from Shutterstock or this kind of stuff? So you have to be aware of this before you do the activities too. So I
yes.
think this is a challenge because sometimes we just we imagine things that sometimes won't work because of the other side, which is design.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that, well, you were an editor before writing, right? So I think editors, they look for details. They are very concerned about details, and
Mm-hmm,
so the way their mindset is different because, and I think it helps so much because when you're writing and you have this background as an editor, like you
mm-hmm.
said, you think about the possibilities of, oh, I have to use photos here, and then you think, oh, vertical photos, horizontal photos. And usually
Exactly.
authors don't really think about that, especially when they're starting, right? Because they don't have
Mm-hmm,
this knowledge.
mm-hmm,
So I think we see a huge difference when we get materials that come from authors that are also editors. Like,
mm-hmm,
I think the work is much more organized. You know what I mean? Because of this
mm-hmm,
editing background, right?
mm-hmm.
And Cynthia, what skills from teaching you think we can transfer well to materials writing, or which skills you think are more difficult for us to embed in materials writing? Do you think that are challenges? For example, I want to develop certain skills in my students, but I think sometimes this specific skill is very challenging for me when I'm writing materials. Do you see anything like that?
Mm, I'm not sure I understood your question, okay? But let me
All right.
know if I didn't, okay?
Yes. Yes.
Um, well, I think you mean the four skills or any other skills?
The four skills. Do you see
Um,
one of them as the most challenging when you're writing materials, or you weigh them equally?
for me, I think reading is the most difficult. Why? Because you have to create the texts.
Yeah, for me
And
too.
sometimes, as you are not a native speaker, it is challenging to make it sound native like.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
I
you know
think,
what's challenging for me too as a writer?
mhm,
When we think about the level of the students, and that text has to match A1 or A2 or B1 and B2. So this
mhm,
fine tuning of the text is also hard,
mhm. So I
right?
would say making a reading activity is difficult because we as authors, we have to write this.
Yeah,
You see, it's not creating the activity of reading, okay? The reading comprehension, this kind of stuff, but writing the text itself,
yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah. And Cynthia, how do you think writers, so let's imagine writers, authors that are no longer in the classroom, right?
Mm-hmm,
How do
mm-hmm.
you think authors can keep this connection with the classroom environment, which is so important when they're not teaching anymore? How do you think they can still be connected?
I think they should talk to teachers who are in the classroom.
Hmm. Yeah,
This is the most important thing. And if you are talking about kids, for example, if you are writing to kids, I think it's important to be in contact with kids because kids now are different from kids who were 8 years old, for instance, 10 years ago, because they have more access to the internet, for instance. They are aware of different things, because when we were kids, we were different from kids who are kids now, right?
For sure.
There's a lot going on. So you have to be aware of how they think, what they are interested in, what are their interests, what do they like, what moves them,
Yes. And what advice would you give teachers who want to start writing materials? How do you think they can get started?
Well, I think that there is something before writing, okay? Which is, first of all, you have to know a lot about, of course, the language, a lot. Not just, get the teacher's book and teach. No, you have to know what underlies the language. Yeah. You have to know about methodologies, different methods, approaches. It's important to take courses such as CELTA, for instance.
Yeah.
It's really important that they have this luggage, this baggage. It's really important. So this is one thing. The second thing I would say is to connect to people. It is very important to be part of a group such as BRAZ-TESOL.
Yes.
Such as a SIG, So it is important to connect with people and have real networking, because sometimes we just think people are going to find us out of the blue, in a school, and we are going to become writers. No. Or some people think, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to offer this to a publishing house. That doesn't happen. It's very rare,
Very rare. Yes.
So I would advise people to connect, go out for coffee. When you go to these congresses that publishing houses offer, they are very, very important for us as teachers. You connect, you see that you have the same problems as the other teachers. We face the same challenges. We have the same good, feedback. So it is important to share and to connect, but real connection. Don't go to this place, to a BRAZ-TESOL conference or to a congress or whatever, just thinking, I'm going to meet people because I want to become a writer. No, share, offer what you have, exchange ideas. I think this is really important because when you connect, meaning when people identify themselves with you, they will remember you.
Yes.
And if you have something to say, because some people don't want to share. So if you have something to share, people, I always say that life, not I always say, I have heard this, and I think it's a very important sentence. Life doesn't give you things. Life gives you things back. So if you give, you receive, So I think it's really important to take part in conventions as the BRAZ-TESOL, in SIGs, in any other meetings, teachers' meetings at your school, talking to representatives like these consultants that I talked to you about. I think it's really important. Get to know about the new books, the new publications.
Yes. That's true.
So I think this is what is important because, as I said, there are many very talented people.
Yes.
Teachers are very creative.
They are, and we always say here in our SIG that teachers are already materials writers because they write worksheets, they write handouts for their students, they create stuff, right? They create PowerPoint presentations, so they are writing, they are already developing materials, right? Yeah. And Cintia, something just came up to my mind as you were speaking. When I talk to people, usually what they say, like authors, like material writers, and I ask them about the challenges that they have when they're writing materials, they always talk to me about tight deadlines. They say that it's crazy and how do you see that? Is that challenging for you too? Do you see other things as challenging when we're writing materials?
I think this is very challenging because we suffer pressure from the beginning. Right?
True.
When you start, you know you have a deadline right there, you know. But
Yes.
if you can, whenever possible, I talk to the person who is hiring me and I ask them to talk to me in advance. So if they say, Cintia, let's talk on Monday. And I say, can we talk before? Can we talk on Thursday? This Thursday instead of next Monday, because then I have 3 more days to work.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing I like to do. And I also like to make myself a schedule, you know. How many lessons am I going to write a day?
Oh yeah, that's important too. Yeah.
Okay. So that I don't leave everything for the last minute.
Yes.
So I think this is an important thing that teachers have already. So we are very organized as teachers, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think it's very important to keep that in mind, to be organized.
Yeah, I agree with you. So when I get the deadline, I always think like, how many pages should I write per day?
Exactly.
Because if I write fewer pages, I know I'm going to have a problem, right? So I think it's important to organize yourself really well, because you have to meet the deadlines, because there are so many people working in the project, right? And if you don't do your part, like other people will have problems too. It's like domino, right? When you're writing. So if you don't meet your deadline, then the other people won't meet their deadlines, and then it's more money involved, and it's very complicated. Right.
And something else, Marcos, when you are making up your schedule, I think you have to keep in mind that unexpected changes might happen.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yes. Like something in the project has changed. So you have to be ready for this kind of stuff.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. So, Cintia, thank you so much for sharing all your experience with us.
Thank you.
It was very nice. I think you have a lot of experience and you had really nice things to say. And I hope that you can inspire teachers who want to become writers and listen to your tips, the tips you gave us, and start in this world of writing, trying things out. And what you said, like go, networking is important. Talk to people, connect to them, right? And then the opportunities will come. Right.
That's it. Thank you so much, Marcos.
Thank you, Cintia. Thank you guys for listening and watching our podcast. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.